up, guys? For this video, I'm going to try something I've been watching a lot of other YouTubers do. I wanted to do a whole series on this, and that is going to be a revival series on this 1978 D100 that I picked up. So I actually got this in a package deal. I got this and another car, which I'll be showing you guys probably next spring or next summer. It's another revival project that will follow up this one, but it's going to need a lot more work, and I'm going to have to do some learning to figure that one out. But picked this one and that one up for $1,000, and both of them, this one in particular, has sat for about 15 years. I think the last time this moved or ran was in 2003 or 2004, and there is a good bit of history with this truck. This truck actually belonged to my friend's dad, who sadly passed away a couple of months ago, and they were clearing stuff out, and I'd already been planning on buying the one other vehicle from his dad, and ended up buying both of these. So that's kind of how this thing came to be. So last weekend we went and ripped this thing out of its hole that it was sunk into, and I towed this thing here. The car is at my parents' house, which is about 3 hours away. The truck came here with me. All I've done to it is, you know, just do everything I had to do just to get it rolling and get it here, which is why you'll see it's got these wheels on here, which used to be on the Dakota. It's got another one over here. You can see that one, and then it's got one of the tires that was on it. Before we get into this, I'll include a few pictures that either myself or my friend took while we were digging this thing out. I'll have to omit some pictures that reveal the other vehicle that I picked up, but I'll go ahead and play some of those now. So yeah, like I said, this is a 1978 D100. It has a 318 3-speed manual transmission on the tree, 8-foot bed, single cab, of course, 2-wheel drive. As far as rust, the worst of it is the floor here. So for one thing, we got some seat movage going on there. The seat rails are just laying, I don't know if the seat's just laying on top of the floor or what's actually holding the seat in anymore. That's a bit of a problem there. Same thing on the other side. In fact, this side is better than that side, which is weird because this is the side that was closest to the ground and got the most moisture on it. Somebody put some speakers up here, which I'll actually probably use if they still sound good. I mean, other than the dashboard being popped open, there really isn't much. And then there's a bunch of stuff. I got some free trash bags. I'll never need any more Teflon tape. Just that's a motorcycle mirror. There's the 2-gauge fascias in there, some spare taillights. What is, I think that's a visor for a safety helmet or something. But there's all the parts to put the dash back together are here or in the bed. And of course it came with this giant fiberglass cap, which will either stay on this truck or I might actually put it on the F-250 if I ever put a new bed on it, because caps are nice to have. So I don't know if it'll stay on this thing permanently. Currently, right now, this thing's keeping the sides from, you know, doing the old flop on the side. So it's kind of holding things together. And underneath, the body mount brackets aren't doing too great, so it's got a little bit of movement, but it's okay. It hasn't completely separated from the frame yet. Lots of growth. This side of this thing is very green because there is a tree on this side of it. The passenger side has less green, but more rust. But as you can see, we've got a very nice surface rust patina going through the original blue paint. Definitely going to leave it like this. I like this look. It's kind of what my Dakota's got, but this has actually progressed even further, and the paint is still sort of sticking to the truck. It's just faded through right here and rusted through, which I really like the look of that. So for sure, you're going to need some brakes, but you know, you kind of expect that for something that's sat in the ground for so long. The frame is pretty much perfect. All the suspension stuff seems to be at least solid. It hasn't rusted or fallen apart. I'm sure this thing probably needs ball joints and tie rods, and the whole front end's probably, you know, pretty sloppy, but it's all still there and it hasn't fallen apart because of sitting in the ground for so long. It looks like it had a tow mirror here at one time because there's holes that have been silicone, which is kind of unfortunate, but that's the way it goes. And then we've got this stupid thing that's broken off. That one's completely missing. Here's a little shot at the rockers that are pretty rough, but underneath And there's still a lot of truck here. It really hasn't taken too much of a beating on the frame. The body mounts are a bit of a different story, but that's because of the floor being so bad. We've got one of these wagon wheels on here. I think these are 9 inches wide. These things are actually pretty big, but I've only got the one. The other one that was here, the rim had actually rusted through because it sank into the ground, so I had to get rid of that one. It looks like we might actually still have an exhaust, which is surprising. Yeah, it's still attached all the way up there. I'm pretty surprised. It's probably going to blow out as soon as this thing runs, but it's still there, so that's okay. Got some more rust on the fender there. This bumper, when we were pushing this thing back here, has really started to come apart. The bed corner here is coming apart, which is why the tailgate's poking out. And then we've got some moss going on here. Here's the last time this thing was registered, 7 of 01. We've got plugs, so 7-pin and a 6-pin, which is a little bit weird. That's the DOT plug. That's not something you really see anymore. And of course the 7-pin, which is for the trailer brake that you guys might have noticed in there. And oh, we're missing the license plate lights. That's nice. But this hitch, I'm gonna have to cut it off because it's welded to the frame. You can see right there, it's rusted through. So yeah, it's gonna get the old chop and goodbye. We do have some helper springs. I don't think that's a factory thing on the shocks up there, but my shackles are good. My springs don't look broken. In fact, they still have a nice arch to them, which is impressive. Those springs probably help quite a bit. Brackets are good. The frame is more solid than my Dakota was before I fixed everything. So we've got some more spare parts here. A gas tank, which might come in handy because I'm sure this one's full of junk. We've got some caps that go to the original wheels, which I do have. I actually took them to work and threw away the old bias ply tires that were still on it. But I think I have 3 of them. I'm missing one, but it might still be at my friend's house, so I can go back to that. There's a spare cowl in there and some other, I think that's the like front valence down there underneath of that. We've got a fender, and there's a power steering box here because they were in the process of converting it to power steering. There's a couple Mopar starters, a washer fluid reservoir I think over there, and some other random stuff. Currently this cap is only held down by 2 of those aluminum clamps in the front and a C-clamp right here, so that definitely will need to be corrected later on. And then you guys can kind of see, maybe, down there, there's the rust right there, and that's why this corner doesn't really work anymore, so I'm going to have to do something about that. So, get this thing open. There is the 318 with the little 2-barrel. I've been down here spraying WD-40 on things to try and free up this carburetor. But yeah, basically everything's here, including a spare jug of some sort and lots of mouse collections. No, not a lot of poop though, just a lot of dirt, and that looks like some insulation from inside the truck. Here you can see they began getting the power steering pump mounted to convert it to power steering. I might just end up taking that back off because I don't really care that much. This truck was originally a manual brake truck as well. They added a booster to it and put a power master, which I may, because I have the manual brake master, I might for now swap that back onto this or see if it'll bolt up to that booster because it still works. I have tried spinning it just by grabbing the fan here and it hasn't wanted to spin, so it's probably a little bit stuck. So I think the next step is to put this thing in neutral and try spinning this engine over, see if I can get it to spin a couple full rotations, and then maybe from there we'll just put a battery in this thing. I want to try to hook up a remote fuel system to it because if there is any fuel in that tank, it's definitely not going to be any good. We will check the ignition system, which I think is electronic on this. I don't remember when they started doing the electronic ignition, but I think this one is. There's a voltage regulator right there, by the way. That's kind of neat. So yeah, I guess first step is to see if we can get this engine to spin over. If we can get it to spin over, we will check the oil, because I definitely need to check that, and we'll stick a battery in here, see if we can get it to crank, and just kind of take things step by step from there. Alright, you're going to have to excuse the compressor noise. I just fired that thing up. It should stop pretty soon here though, so I'm going to go stick a socket on this thing and see if we can get it to crank. I'm going to be optimistic and try it with a 1/2-inch ratchet first, because I know I can reach that from up here. See if we can... Oh hey, look at that. That was easy. Oh my god. Alright, well, I'm going to crawl underneath of it and give it a couple full rotations Just make sure there's no crack or a tight spot on it or anything like that, because I don't want to just start spinning on this thing with a battery and not know if it's, you know, going to cooperate with me. So I'm going to crawl down here real quick and do that. Well, I'm pretty satisfied with that. I got at least one full rotation. So I'm going to go grab a battery, hook this thing up. Do we have a dome light? No, we do not. I don't know for sure that we've even got power. Let's see if we got lights. Oh, we do have lights. Let's see if we have all of them before we get real far here. Well, we've got one headlight and nothing else up here. I wonder if all these bulbs are blown or if it's electrical contacts or what. We have no tail lights at all, so all we've got is one headlight. That's a little bit worrying, but we'll figure that out later. Will this thing crank over with the key? Who knows? Let's see. What? Yeah, we're in neutral right there. This shifter linkage is a little bit stiff because it's, you know, been sitting for a pretty long time. I wonder if the lights. Yeah, I can't. Dome light doesn't do anything there. Oh well. Let's see. I wonder if the lights don't work until the. Well, that shifter really. Get out of here. Really sits in the way of the key. So, can we get this key all the way in? Jeez. Or does it go in the other way? I'm really having a hard time with this key. There we go. Alright. Oh, we have a warning light of some kind. So that means we have power in here. Let's see if it starts or if it cranks over. Oh, we do not have a good battery connection because as soon as I did that, we lost that right there. So let's go jiggle these around a little bit. See if we got the light came back on. Something just fell out of here. Well, I think it's an oil light or something like that, or a seat belt. I've got nothing. Well, let's see what we've got going on here. Well, we're going to find out if it's in neutral then, because we have a wire hooked up to it, I think, as a starter solenoid.
You have this thing aimed at me.
It's aimed at me.
No, it's the tire is pointing directly.
Well, it's definitely not going to start, so...
Okay. For the meme.
It spun over. This wire got a little warm.
Yeah, that's what, 16 gauge maybe?
So the starter works, and it sounds like shit like every Chrysler starter does, so...
I was trying to jam the wire onto this post.
So somewhere between this and there, nothing's happening.
Which I'm guessing is probably somewhere in here.
Did I have the key on? Chrysler starters. I'm pretty sure that there's just no power to it though. Which probably has something to do with all of this stuff that isn't attached to anything. And oh, I bet you that thing's bad.
You know what would solve this?
Points.
Points.
I really wish this thing had points right now.
Well, I'm sure we could go to the junkyard and get some old ass fucking distributor.
It's either this stupid sensor in here, because it's a magnet that has died, because it's been sitting outside for a long time, or it's that controller box. Alright, it started getting dark out, so I'm probably going to call it for the night here. We got an engine that spins over. I forget to really check fluids very much, but I did check it just now, and it has oil in it, so that's good. It doesn't have any coolant in it, so that's probably bad, but we'll deal with that problem later. Now, I actually just tested some stuff. The resistor seems to be working properly, which is surprising because that thing's pretty bad and broken, but it's working. The ignition coil has power to it. The ignition controller has power to it. So the only thing I can think of is that the sensor in that distributor is bad. So I'm going to do some research tonight and see if I can find myself one of those sensors locally, or if this is probably what's wrong, which I think it is, because those things fail. They're just a magnet, basically. It's just a Hall effect sensor. So we'll come back with this tomorrow, or depending on when I can get a sensor, probably we'll come back out here, swap that in, and see if we can get some spark. Alright, many days have passed. It is now the next weekend. It is Friday night. I've got probably an hour of daylight here. We're going to try to wire up an ignition system for this truck. So let me show you guys what we have. So the most important thing, the thing that I had to wait for, is that ignition right there. This is an eBay HEI conversion. This is pretty much a rip-off of an MSD. This is $52. It's got an HEI unit on it. It's got 2 wires. It's got the trigger for the coil and a power wire running in. This thing grounds off of the engine block. That's it, 52 bucks. Seems to be put together pretty well. Hopefully it works, because that will allow us to eliminate the you know, stock distributor with this little trigger wheel and all that. Now I'm gonna have to use Magnum spark plug wires, because that cap on there takes, you know, the Magnum style wires, and the one on this truck takes the old school, you know, the ones that are the other direction where they go in. So had to get some Magnum wires. I'm also going to be running a Magnum coil, because this came off of the 5.2 liter that I have for the Dakota, and I'm not going to be using it on that truck, so I figured I would put it here. This will probably give me a little bit of a stronger spark than the factory coil on this truck, and this will also allow me to get rid of the ballast resistor completely, because this thing can just have 12 volts ran straight to it. So we'll be able to eliminate all of the factory ignition stuff using these right here. New coil will let me run straight 12 volts. That'll eliminate the little box and the very unreliable sensor in that distributor. And of course the new plug wires, well, you know, new used. They are OEM, so they should do the job just fine. So we got the distributor, the eBay distributor in. It's wired up. We used the factory plug for the ballast resistor and ran power to both the coil and the HEI unit there. The distributor's grounded through the engine block, so that's all done. The signal for the coil is hooked up from the distributor, so we're all good there. Magnum plug wires, that's the Magnum coil. Stock one just laying up here because I didn't feel like taking that wire off, so it can just live there for now. Does it interfere with anything? Nope, we're good. So the ignition system should work. I've got a tester on it over here, and I have my ignition switch right here. And we're in
the truck is out of gear.
And the truck is out of gear, so we're going to see if it does anything.
No shit. Look at that.
I'm just going to pour this in.
Okay, just pour it in and it'll be fine. Shit.
Okay, let's see if it does anything at all, now that we know we have spark.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Oh, shit. It's actually going to
Dude, it's close.
Alright, I do have to be able to get the...
$10 to take a sip?
No. Especially because it's 2 cycles.
No, you know what? It has ethanol in it. It'll fuck up your insides.
I can't see. Where'd you put it? Oh.
That one. See, if you set it on that radiator hose, that ought to spill all over the ground.
Oh, shit. Well, who put all this other shit in the way?
Some engineer.
Assholes. That's definitely not going to stay there.
No, just hold it there and I'll crank it. Right with your hand by the fan.
Right inside of the fan.
Right inside of the fan. That'll probably
Hopefully
be fine. That's if the diaphragm on the pump is still okay.
Which would be a good way to find out.
I guess this...
Well, this would fill the bowls in the carburetor up, and then we could stick it back on that line and get it to run for a bit and see if it sucks anything up.
The line looked bone dry, so I'm not terribly optimistic.
Probably the sock is probably plugged on it.
Oh, the filter has fuel in it.
Already?
Yes.
Oh,
look at that.
Working.
Look at that.
It's idling.
It's fucking. Oh shit! Shit! Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off.
Wait, before I do that, let's fill the Mountain Dew can up.
Why didn't you get a bottle? Don't you still have some bottles?
Bottles of what?
Mountain Dew.
No.
Oh. Wait. There might be one in my room.
It's too big now.
But it's Sprite.
This thing sucked up a lot of that gas because it was spraying.
Caffeine, no caffeine.
I need a light down here.
Depends on how many Mountain Dew cans you get per gallon. I would take the pop tab off before that
helps
gets.
hold the hose in, though.
All right.
My fuel cell installation.
Hey, it was my idea. Don't take this away from me. It's all I got.
Yeah, but it's my caffeine addiction. Okay.
Like a fucking champ.
It's idling. I'm not doing anything.
He's hands free, boys. Wait, move that. You want to move the distributor around? See if you can get it to idle any better.
I can hear air coming out of something down here. What is that noise?
Probably something on the carburetor. There's a vacuum hose back here.
Look at how smooth it's running.
Unless it's
The distributor.
well,
Dude, the accelerator pump works.
no shit. Okay, goddamn. Picking up a bunch of dust and shit.
That was like 20 years. The accelerator pump works. It's idling. We didn't do anything.
I told you.
Yeah, the carburetor was
Hey,
locked up.
move the distributor around, see if it runs any better. Other way. That sounds pretty decent right there. Definitely has some vacuum noise. I can't believe this fucker runs, dude. That blows.
Perfect.
It's idling so good.
Off of Mountain Dew can.
I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. I can't tell how much is left in there, but goddamn, this thing smells awful.
Oh, it's got to clear itself out.
Oh,
Oh, it
shit.
still has a pedal. It's dirty. You smell that?
Oh god. Wait, it does? Still waiting on the time that cameras come with smell-o-vision because this... Oh my god. Dude, hold on. It's cheeching back here.
Oh yeah. That's all that too. That's all that fucking.
No, probably.
Alright, so as you guys saw the other day, we got this old turd fired up and running. And last night we messed around with it a little bit more. I went and got some longer fuel hose here and was able to fill this gas can and run the fuel pump off of this so we could actually run it for a while. I had it running for probably about 10 minutes straight last night, just idling, and we even moved it around a little bit. As you can see, if we rolled it forward and back, you can kind of see where it was parked there. So the clutch and everything works. It shifted really nicely. So we've got all that working. So what I'm going to be doing today is trying to get this thing into the driveway so that I can put the new wheels and tires on it that I got, because these wheels don't even bolt all the way onto it. The center board's too small. And we're also going to try to run a new fuel hose from the tank all the way up to the fuel pump. There must be another hole in that feed line because I cannot get it to suck anything out of the tank, and there's currently now about 10 gallons of gas in there. So I'm just going to take this hose that I've got here, should be enough hose here to run from the tank all the way up here to the pump. Probably going to run it down this side of the frame and over everything and down here. Try to get that done, and then I'm also going to try to clean up some wiring, get all this crap vacuumed off of the engine and the engine bay here, and maybe try washing it underneath as well, because there is a ton of loose, like sandish dirt stuff just packed into the frame rails down there from where this thing was sitting. So I need to get all that stuff out of there as well before it sits in there for too long. So that's the goal. I'm gonna get you guys up on a tripod. I'm gonna try to back this thing out into the driveway after I move a couple things, because I've kind of got myself blocked in here. We got a scooter in the way, the wheels are in the way over there. I got my Dakota hood and lawnmower and stuff. So move all that stuff, and then we'll see if we can get this thing moved. And I did have it on the charger last night, so it should start pretty easily. The fuel pump should still have most of its prime. Yep, still got some fuel in there. So disconnect all this stuff, move everything out of the way, try to back this thing into the driveway, and it'll be the most it's moved under its own power, or the furthest it's moved under its own power in probably about 20 years, which is pretty cool. So let's get to that. Let's get this thing in the driveway.
Either that pump is just a little bit tired, or the starter is not spinning fast enough, or it's a mix of both. Let it clear out. Alright, straighten her out. Or don't. Yeah, he might clear it. Hey, he cleared it.
Time for my new wheels.
New, straight from eBay.
Yep. I put good tires on it because they were free.
Best tires. Old Firestone Trans-Force HT2s. AKA free tires.
I would rather have good tires and cheap wheels than good wheels and cheap tires.
Yeah, that's fair.
Get out.
Get out.
Let me find the fuck. There was one that was pretty fucked up. Dodge is enjoying his son.
Yes. We might as well enjoy it too, because then it can last terribly much longer. Dude, you're scratching the shit out of them.
Oh no. What a shame. I gotta make him look like the rest of the truck does. This thing sounds a lot different on your compressor than it did at Tire Man.
You probably had a 1/2 inch instead of a 3/8.
That might be too much.
Air setting.
I'm gonna drop it really hard.
Okay. Love it. Oh. There was hope for us, and now there's none. God, that's so loud. It's loud as fuck. Take the tailpipe and slide it back up. you see what I see? At the kitchen window? Okay.
Okay, well, all the new wheels are on. And because we figured out that the brakes kind of work, we're going to go and try and run it around the block real quick. So, keys in, neutral. We'll start this thing up. There it goes. It's a lot louder because we took it's a very broken exhaust off. Got the air filter back on it. Got the gas can bungee down. Oh, bend that down a little bit. You know, there we go. There you go. Dude, this is sketchy as all fuck.
Yeah, sign the door. There you go. There you go. I can't tell if there's anybody behind me.
No.
Can't get second gear. I'll figure that out. There we go. It's just really stiff. This is the most this thing's moved in 20 years. At least one of the front calipers still works. I don't get stuck. It's just... And he's coming around the bend. I know where he's going now. Talk about body sway.
Alright guys, well it has been probably a week since the last time I filmed. I realized I never ended this video, so as you guys saw, we got to drive this thing around the block a couple times. The brakes kinda worked, the engine worked pretty decently, and it ran and drove for the first time in almost 20 years. So everything is pretty much working just fine as far as engine stuff goes. The fuel pump is definitely weak. In order to start this thing, I have to like choke the thing with my hand if it's been sitting for a day or two, like cover the whole carburetor to get to pull fuel in, and it lean pops at idle, so the fuel pump is definitely worn out. The carburetor seems to be working good. There's no strange noises coming from the engine, no rattles, no knocks, no ticks, nothing like that. Even the exhaust, up till where we ripped it all off, is working flawlessly. So there's a few things I want to do in a later video, which will be getting the brakes dialed in a little better. Here in the back of the Dakota, I've got this master cylinder I found in the bed, and there's a couple of pieces over here somewhere. There's a new fuel filter down there. I want to get this swapped on there and try to get the brakes bled as good as I can. I'm pretty sure there's a line blown or a cylinder leaking pretty badly in the rear because that reservoir was completely out of fluid. But the fronts appear to be working, and we still have fluid in them, so I'm hoping I can swap that master cylinder out and bleed the brakes and get them to work good enough to be able to move the thing around without worrying about rolling into stuff and not having the pedal get stuck on the floor every time I try to stop, because that'll kill the battery because the brake light stays on. So that's kind of something I want to fix. And then I want to get an electric fuel pump in there, so I bought a eBay electric fuel pump, just like a 5 to 9 psi pump. I'm going to be putting that on there, getting rid of the mechanical pump. It's pretty tired and worn out. I was able to get this thing to pull fuel out of the tank after quite a bit of struggling and fighting with it. I finally was able to run a new hose all the way back. The feed line for it was broken in multiple spots, like where I couldn't really see them. So I just ran a hose from the pump all the way back, hooked that up to the tank, and then blew compressed air through the hose once it was hooked up. And something was lodged in there, popped out, and I was able to, after a little bit of fighting, get that fuel pump to start sucking gas out of that tank. So it is now running on its proper fuel system. So it's still kind of rigged up. The hose is just kind of ran back there real fast. I'm going to have to move stuff around and clean things up. But for now it works. I can move the thing around the driveway. I can take it around the block once or twice if I want. And everything just kind of works. So brakes, fuel pump need to be done. I'm going to be trying to get those things done pretty soon here. The reason it took me so long to end this video is because weather and timing just hasn't been cooperating with me. We're getting to that point of the year where it starts getting dark earlier and earlier. I get out of work at 5 o'clock, and it's getting dark at 6:30 now, and I don't get home till 5:30, so I have an hour of daylight to do anything, and that's pretty much it. And it gets cold, it gets dark, and I can't see anything, and it's just no good. So I'm going to try this weekend to get the brakes and the fuel pump in. That'll be, I guess, part 2 of this revival series, and it'll probably be the last time you guys see that truck until springtime, when I can, work on it in the daylight and not freeze. Temperature-wise, we're still going to be good for a few more weeks at least, but it's getting dark so early and there's a time change approaching, so it's just not going to be able to be possible. It would not fit in this garage, even if my truck wasn't in here, if the Dakota wasn't in here, so it's just going to be one of those things that's going to wait. But I want to get it to the point where the brakes kind of work, the thing idles and runs and does all that stuff on its own without too much struggle, and next spring I'll be able to get in there, get the brakes totally dialed, replace a bunch of stuff, and get the fuel system totally dialed, get the floor repaired and all that stuff. So that's where we're at. This thing went from sitting in a hole for close to 20 years, last time this thing was registered was in 2002, to running and driving and operating pretty flawlessly considering the how long it sat. So that is going to be the end of this video for now. I will be back for hopefully at least one more video on this thing before winter hits to get the brakes and the fuel pump situated. But that will be it for now. Thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed. This is my first time trying a revival video. This is a lot of fun. I really like this truck. I plan on keeping this thing for as long as I can. I want to get this thing dialed to the point that I can actually use it to do truck stuff with it. So, like I said, if you guys enjoyed, please let me know if you want to see more revival stuff. I have another one that'll be coming out hopefully next year. And yeah, that's going to be it. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you all later.